Hi, Rachel. Here we are with another episode of Thrasher Opera House Presents. It seems like I've been away for a while, and it's good to be back.
It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, Riley was just in Norway for the past 2 weeks. And what's cool about the trip you took is that it was very arts related, very music related. You got to see some cool venues, experience some cool music. Tell us a highlight about what you saw there.
Well, there were several highlights. Maybe the highest point from a technology level was a large performance hall on the campus of the university at Bergen in Norway, which is where we were. And it's very tall, and it has a very interesting architectural design designed to mimic older buildings with pillars along the sides, and it has a classic 1.6 to 1 ratio everywhere with the length and the height and the depth, and it has nice treatment at the back and along the sides. It's implemented very well, and they have an excellent video installation. The Norwegian Public Radio was there recording. I counted 14 DPA microphones on the stage and around the stage and leading out to the truck that was outside.
What I love about it is this was like a tech person's dream, like to go and experience how other places in the world do tech. Because, well, we're here all the time. You know, it's kind of like working at a venue. You know your venue really well and how things work there. But it's always so good to go out and see another venue or how somebody else is doing tech, because it can give you ideas. It can also give you reassurance, like, oh, cool, other people are doing it this way too. A little bit of both.
Sure.
But even all the way in Norway, I'm sure you learned a couple of things and saw a couple of cool things you might want to implement. Maybe.
Their approach is different than ours, and they're pretty hip. They on their public television station, I mean, obviously, or not obviously, but I don't speak Norwegian and I don't really understand Norwegian.
You were there for, 10 days and you don't speak Norwegian?
I know, it's terrible.
Come on, man.
I should have prepared better. But we watched their public television stations in the hotel, and their station that does the news every morning has a slightly different approach to tech than we take here in the U.S. The video and the camera shots are really sharp and really crisp, which isn't different from what we have in the U.S. But the people aren't made up. They're not spending any time in makeup. It's like the guys threw on a shirt. Sometimes it's just a wrinkled old shirt like I'm wearing right now, and their hair's kind of mussed up, and the women maybe have a little bit on. You, if you look carefully, you can tell that there's a little bit of makeup, but they're not very big about that. They're just discussing issues. So we're like, this is what we're doing. We're doing it the Norwegian way. We could be Norwegians.
I like that.
The tech is always very clear and almost highlighted in the shots. And there's one show that shows every weekday morning where the host of the show is sitting at a switching point where he has an audio mixer over here and a multi-view screen here and a couple of other monitors and his laptop up. And they spend a lot of time on a camera shot that's above and behind. So you see all the tech that he's switching. You don't see his face while he's talking. You see the tech that he's switching and the views that he's switching between.
Interesting.
And we don't do that here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well.
And it looked good. It sounded great.
Nice.
That's just a small touch of it. They do a lot of things differently than we do.
And you were over there to see a relative of yours who was performing at a festival, an experimental music jazz festival?
Yes, an experimental music festival, not necessarily limited to jazz. Roscoe Mitchell, who some people who are listening may know as one of the founding members of the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians in Chicago. It's been the Art Ensemble of Chicago.
Pretty impressive.
He's been doing that for 60 years, ever since he got out of the Army. And he was the the close of the festival headliner, and he had 2 different compositions played by 2 different ensembles at other points during the festival. There were many groups and many venues and many different types of music there.
Well, what a cool thing to not only just get to go to Norway in general, but to go to a festival like that, you know, doing what you do and seeing the tech and seeing the music and the musicians. I'm glad you came back.
Well, I couldn't afford to stay.
Well, another reason I'm glad you came back is because this week we have Carlene Carter coming on Saturday, April 2nd. And she's been here once before, but this time we thought she was going to be a duo. And a couple weeks ago, we found out it's going to be a trio, which is exciting. And you just spoke, speaking of tech, to their tech person and learned a couple of things today.
I did. We had a nice long conversation. He seemed to really care about the art and the artist. And so we discussed Carlene Carter's setup and the accompanying musicians and what the objectives of the show are. And he was very helpful. He gave me a lot of insight, and it's going to make it really easy on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's just another sort of behind the scenes thing that we can share on this podcast is that, you know, the artist has a team of people, from promotional team to a tech team that we are working with to advance the show so that when the show is happening, everything sounds good, looks good, and the marketing went well, all that kind of stuff. And Carlene happens to have a really good team when it comes to the advancing in the tech. Carlene Carter, by the way, is the daughter of June Carter and the stepdaughter of Johnny Cash.
She is.
Yeah. I'm just, you know, I'm realizing maybe folks don't know that, so I thought I would mention.
That
she comes from a very musical family.
That's important.
You probably know those names.
And one of the things that I learned is that one of the inputs on the list is for an auto harp, and she may or may not play the auto harp at this show.
Oh man, it's a mystery.
But if she does play the auto harp, that instrument is one that she got from her grandmother.
Oh.
So there will be some conversation and some historical context and some reverence.
I got to imagine at some point in this show she'll acknowledge her family, the legends that are her family, and how she's kind of continuing this family tradition of country music. The other thing I like about Carlene is how she was in the country music industry before it was really cool, or before a lot of female artists were in that industry. She's sort of groundbreaking in that way. And I don't know, I just kind of always like to have people like that come through Thrasher. It's extra cool.
It should be a great show.
And then after that, we have Mountain Heart on April 8th. And this is, I think, the first artist interview that I didn't do. Our coworker, Jason Mansmith, who you all met via the podcast a couple weeks ago, he did this kind of on the fly. I was like, oh, hey, I can't be here for this. You cool with interviewing Mountain Heart? And of course he did, and he did an excellent job. And so I think we should just roll that interview.
Hey, everybody, Jason Mansmith, Marketing Director, Thrasher Opera House in Green Lake. We are excited to be welcoming Mountain Heart back to the Thrasher Opera House. Their last performance here, October 19th of 2012, so it's been a decade, and we're happy to be joined by Josh from Mountain Heart. We were talking about that a little bit before we started. A decade since you've been here, and I was kind of looking through your dates. We got to get you back to Wisconsin a little bit more, too.
Oh, you know, we play a lot in Michigan, and we play a lot in, like, you know, we usually hit Chicago and up, you know, around in there in the Midwest, I guess. But we don't get to Wisconsin nearly enough. We used to play some festivals up there in the summer, and that's like literally my favorite place on earth to be in the summer, because it's still mild and nice, and, you know, you don't have quite as a muggy and just, you know, hot summers like we do down here in the South. And anyway, we used to come up there some, in the summer months, and I just loved it. But yeah, we need to get back more often. That's for sure.
Well, we're going to welcome you in on coming up on April the 8th at 7:30 p.m. At the Thrasher Opera House. Let's talk a little bit about Mountain Heart. You guys are listed as a roots band. What does that mean?
Well, so when I joined the band Mountain Heart, which was 2007, Mountain Heart was primarily a strict bluegrass band, very progressive and aggressive bluegrass band that did some gospel music as well. But we immediately, I think at that time they were looking for a singer that could maybe help them branch out into other genres, whether it be country or Americana, whatever that's another whole genre that is kind of the same as roots, but they wanted to be able to reach broader audiences. And so I came in playing guitar, but also playing piano, which is my first instrument. A guy that could sing a little bluegrass, but also could sing like a rock and roller if I needed to. So, as time went on, we were within a year, actually I joined in 2007. Within a few months, we were on tour with Leonard Skinner. We went out with, did some Tony Rice touring where he was playing with us and I sang his songs. Then we did some dates with guys like Marshall Tucker and some other country acts. And so we immediately started to kind of branch out, always keeping the bluegrass instrumentation. But we weren't doing grandpa's bluegrass. So, when people would ask, hey, what do you guys do now? Like, what's the show like? And I'd say, well, it's still aggressive, still high energy, still amazing musicianship, but it's pretty diverse. It's not just, old school bluegrass or gospel music. This, we're playing jazz tunes and Bruce Hornsby songs and it's a lot of Americana and roots based music, which, is still primarily acoustic, but it just covers so much. And I don't know. That's the best I can do with explaining what we do.
Yeah.
But
that's a great representation of what it is. You guys are based out of Nashville, and you talked about the diversity of like the things that you playing. And then let's talk about the city of Nashville as well, because always been kind of known as the country music home. But guess what? Everybody's been showing up there to start doing music. Like the rock scene is really hot there, and a lot of great bands are going down there to do their stuff. Just talk about the vibe of that city right now.
So Nashville's just on fire, in general, the real estate market here is insane. People are moving here from everywhere. There's just skyscrapers going up like Atlanta and building condos and properties that used to cost a few $100,000 or $1 million everywhere, right here on my street. It's just, everything's blown up. But, the music scene is amazing. It's almost, it is intimidating. It's as a musician, you got to figure out how you're going to make a living. And that, takes a lot of talent, but a lot of networking and such. But when you get down into the trenches in the city of Nashville, it's definitely not just a bluegrass and country scene. There's heavy hitter jazz guys here. And you see Steven Tyler at the grocery store from Aerosmith, or you see, I run into John Oates from Hall & Oates. He's got a place in Colorado and a place here, and they're everywhere. So there's a lot of rock and rollers here. I think Joe Bonamassa may have I know he does. He's got a spot here. And, of course, all the, like the guys like Chris Stapleton, Marcus King is another blues rocker guy. They're out on the road with whoever, Eric Clapton, whatever. And they're all here local. But the musicianship, the talent level is just through the roof. I would have to say, I've never spent time in LA or New York making music, but the scene here, it's so wild. Like if I walk out in my front yard, most of these people still have normal day jobs, but you can hear like drums and you can hear, literally like Monday at 2 p.m., and I know that that's a studio right here on the street. I don't even know the guy, and they're making somebody's record right here. And, I'm 30 miles from downtown. If you get downtown, it's even kind of crazier, but man, just people come here from all over. It's a fun city. It's a really nice, clean, well-kept city, great schools and all that for kids. But then the music and the entertainment value is just insane. The clubs are always hopping. In a way, as a guy that's lived here for a while, that can be a little bit of a downer, because like getting through downtown, it's like going through it's like Myrtle Beach in the summer, and or Daytona or something, whatever, it's like going to, just a touristy city downtown. But but yeah, I mean, it's, everything's growing, just blowing up. That definitely is true with the music scene. I mean, everyone that's got a dream and some talent is coming here and has been for decades, so.
You talked about trying to make a living there, and obviously we just came through the COVID things and going through that. And how'd you guys go through that? I know you guys did a bunch of shows last year, getting set to kick off another run here. So how was it for y'all?
Well, we played the winter, like the fall and late fall season leading up to, I guess that was 2020. And then we were doing some touring. Actually, we played Ann Arbor and a few other cities up near you guys, or it seems near to me. In January, February, I think, of 2020. And then like March happened and our entire calendar just went away, And so as far as survival, I mean, it literally was that. There was a lot of just, guys started teaching lessons online. We had to just pull the reins back on our business in general. We didn't drop a record. We didn't, we stopped any press we were paying for. We had to pull everything back because we didn't know what we were looking at. And and that snowballed for 2 years, actually just started up again late 2021. Same deal. It's like, well, okay, let's not book any shows, let's not do anything because, things are popping up and stuff like that as far as cancellations go. But as far as us surviving, man, it was I think a needed growth for almost every musician that I know, because we had to figure out how to do something other than tour, and some guys went to work a day job. All of our guys in Mountain Heart, we already had home studios. We already were songwriters. And the funny thing was, like, so many people that, like Del McCurry comes to mind. He wasn't touring, and he's a friend of ours that lives here in town. And so he just focused on recording records, for the future. And so he's one of literally thousands of people that we ended up collaborating with, whether it's writing and recording or whatever, And so we ended up, so many people focused on making records, and we all just got really busy with that. And that hasn't stopped. As a matter of fact, 2021 was, as far as being a session musician, that's the busiest, and it's the most money I've ever made, as a player and singer. So, and that's true for all of our guys. Seth Taylor from the band, he lives about 30 minutes from here, but he's been in New York for 2 weeks, and he's going to be there for 2 more weeks in New York City with an artist that's on Warner Brothers LA, and it's some huge project. It's like all hush hush, and they're at Electric Lady Studios, which is so. But I mean, it's really helped our careers in that way. But it did put a damper on what Mountain Heart was doing. So oddly enough, we played a good bit last summer, the latter half of the summer, and in the fall, and then things got a little crazy again. Everybody got COVID, and then we all recovered, I guess. And oddly enough, these shows coming up in April in the Midwest they're our first dates of the year. So we're beyond excited to start back focusing on recording Mountain Heart, writing for Mountain Heart, and getting on the road, playing some dates, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you guys are going to kick off with us here on the 8th of April, so we're excited to have you on that. You talk about the great musicianship that is a part of Mountain Heart. Let's talk about the band a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mentioned it's still an organic feeling band in that everybody, for other than the piano, it's still upright bass, acoustic guitar. It's primarily a bluegrass ensemble or instrumentation, but everybody's got a little jazz in them, and these guys play, our mandolin player, Ashby, he goes out with Jerry Douglas, who's a phenomenal, household name in the bluegrass world. But, Matt Menifee, our banjo player, he's been out with Warren Haynes from Government Mule and the Allman Brothers. He's been all over the UK playing with Bruce Hornsby, the piano player. So these guys can kind of do it all. They're not just going to play, like I said, Grandpa's bluegrass. And so, we've been described as the acoustic bluegrass bees hive, we were called one time, acoustic overdrive, whatever on, acoustic or bluegrass on steroids. We've been called all those things. And that's because, we're primarily wireless, so we're able to just run around the stage and put on a little bit more of a rock and roll kind of show. And that really opens the door, especially with young musicians, to, hitting a younger audience and having more entertainment value. So, I hope that describes it a little bit. It's super, incredible musicianship. Everybody's played with a lot of, insane talent out there, but we try to, start to finish, we try to keep the energy up and just be all over the map musically, so that we kind of hopefully appeal to everybody in some way. And
just kind of prepping for this, kind of watching some of the videos, and that intensity, that energy level is to the max in that Mountain Heart show, which is really great. And we're so looking forward to it with our audiences here. And Josh, as you kind of get set to roll out on this next set of tour dates, not only in April, but throughout the rest of the season, what are you most looking forward to? Is it just that audience interaction and being back out on the road with your buds?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. It's interesting. I've got kids. And so while 2020 was awesome, 2021, same thing. I love being home more. But I also love to travel, and it's nice to see the country and get out there on tour. But yeah, everything else would be about getting to entertain, music lovers and just seeing everybody smile and, forget about whatever's going on in their life and just have a good time for a couple hours, But about the band, man, we all, it's funny, we say this all the time, like, we really need to get a rehearsal on the books. We got to get together and rehearse. And everybody's like, do we need to do that right now? And I'm like, yeah, I can play a million shows, but not a Mountain Heart show without work, because I have to, that's just that's how everybody feels. It's a tough gig, and, but we've also, all of us have been out on the road with country acts and blues and rock acts. And I was just working with Winona Judd, a couple of days ago. I've been playing some miscellaneous recording sessions and dates with, a lot of different bands, but none of them are as challenging as a Mountain Heart show, like not even in the ballpark. And I think that everybody in the band would say that. And so, it's a heavy thing to be prepared for, but honestly, like, we all have continued doing this entire time. For me, it's, we're at 15 years this spring. For me, I've been in this band, and, I could have left many times for a lot more money, but it's just my favorite bunch of musicians in the world. It wasn't an accident. We're not one of those garage bands that just got lucky. Like, everybody in the band has been handpicked, and it didn't matter if they were in Ohio or Virginia or North Carolina, or, luckily everyone's moved to Nashville, but when we replace somebody or bring someone into the band, we call the absolute greatest musicians we can find. And so in that regard, it's just, you can't touch it from what we get out of it. And I just hope some of that translates, or transcends out to the crowd. So, but
absolutely. Well, Josh, I want to thank you for your time today. We're looking forward to coming up here on April the 8th. Tickets available, thrasheroperahouse.com. Come on in and pick those up, get those online. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. We look forward to seeing that challenge that you're going to put on yourself here, getting ready for the show. And thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you. See you soon.
Take care now.
Great first interview from Jason, as we expected, and we're looking forward to many more from him. And we're looking forward to, again, Carlene Carter on Saturday, April 2nd, and Mountain Heart on Friday, April 8th. Follow us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, and what's the other one? Oh, follow this on YouTube, because that's, if we get more subscribers, we unlock some benefits and stuff.
That's right. If we get up to 100 subscribers, we get our own dedicated URL.
That would be nice. So if you're listening and you like this, actually like it and follow it. That would help us out a lot.
And subscribe.
Oh, that's the word. All right. Until next time.